Hi, I'm Amy. I love sharing easy and tasty recipes with you. Today I'm sharing 3 dinner recipes. They're unique, they're delicious, and they're really quick to make. I'm doing a one pot pizza gnocchi, chicken sausage with veggies, including Brussels sprouts, which I've never made before. Turned out really good. And also burger sandwiches. It's not a burger, it's not exactly a sandwich. So good. And I'm going to bring you along for all of that. Let's go ahead and get started. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to put some gnocchi in the skillet. Go ahead and cook that up until it gets a little bit browned and crispy. If I can get it out. It looks like it should take about 5 minutes for them to get a little bit of color and to get a bit softer. They've gotten softer, so I'm going to go ahead and remove them from the pan. And I'm going to add some diced veggies in. So I diced onion, red pepper, and green pepper. And I just want to saute those until they get soft. And then once those get soft, I'm just going to drop in some zucchini that I diced up. One thing I will say is I love using frozen zucchini in recipes where the zucchini is going to be soft. So I'll cut it up first, and then all you have to do when you want to cook it is you just throw it in a pan, and it's so easy, and it goes on sale quite a bit in my area at least. So now I'm going to go ahead and season it just a bit now that the zucchini is soft. So I'm just going to add some oregano and some garlic right now, and then some jarred marinara. Use your favorite. We love Rao's or Rao's. And I'm just going to give it a really nice stir so the sauce gets heated through. And then I'll add back in that gnocchi. I didn't show it, but before this I also added a little bit of salt and some basil. I just used all dried herbs, but you could definitely use like fresh basil or fresh oregano if you do have that. But I just want this to get heated through. So once it's heated through, I'm going to kind of flatten it, make it all even, and then I'm going to add the cheese to the top. I just used Parmesan, even though the recipe said use mozzarella. Parmesan just has a really great flavor and I love it, but you could use mozzarella if you want a more mild cheese flavor. So instead of putting it in the oven to bake, broil, I just covered it. And this allows the cheese to melt without having to do that additional step of putting it in the oven, waiting for it to heat up and all of that. This is how it turned out. It was so, so delicious. The serving was 1/4 of the pan, in case you're interested in knowing that. And we loved it. I love gnocchi like this. You can roast it in the oven. You can pan fry it like this, and it really did taste kind of like a pasta or like a pizza, and it was so simple. I think you could also make it even simpler by just using like spinach in here instead of chopping up zucchini. So good. You most likely have made a version of this yourself. Chicken sausage with some sort of veggies and a carb like rice or pasta or even like on a tortilla. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm adding Brussels sprouts, which I've never done before, some seasonings. So these are the Brussels sprouts I used. So first I just sauteed up onion and pepper that I had sliced up, added in the Brussels sprouts. I will say Brussels sprouts aren't my favorite thing. I think if I just added a little bit of like maple syrup to them individually and then added them, I might have liked it. I just find them to be a little bit bitter, but I did really like those Brussels sprouts overall, like better than other Brussels sprouts I've tried. So then I just added in the chicken sausage, and they're fully cooked, but I just wanted them to get a little bit of browning. I like kind of a tiny bit of like crispness on the outside, so I did that. And then I added in some fresh garlic that I had grated. You could use ground, of course, if that's what you have and want to use. And I kept the rest of the spices pretty simple. I just did some parsley, just dried parsley. Fresh would be really great in here to provide like a nice bright flavor. And then I did some pepper. So that's what I added. Sometimes I've added like balsamic glaze on the top of my actual like dinner plate, or even balsamic vinegar and a little bit of maple syrup goes really well with chicken sausage. But I love this dinner. It comes together so quickly, especially if you chop up the veggies beforehand. And I just served it with some rice. So you saw I just chopped up the onion, and I wanted to tell you what I'm gonna do with the onion. So I chopped it up in kind of larger bite-sized pieces. I didn't dice it or mince it because I want it to caramelize, and I want it to be in like bite-sized pieces, but not too big, not too small. So that's what I decided to do. I'm gonna be making like a ground beef sandwich, kind of like a burger that's not in a burger form. I'll show you what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna hold it together with some cheese, put a lot of really good seasonings in there, and I have high expectations for this, so I'll take you along. All right, let's go ahead and cook up those onions. I've got my pan here, a skillet. I'm gonna add about a half tablespoon of butter, and I'm also gonna add about the same amount of olive oil. The butter and olive oil have melted, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in all the onions. And if you didn't know, you actually can caramelize onions with just water, but I'm gonna use a little bit of oil and butter. But I imagine I'll probably also use some water in here as well. But my plan is I'm gonna go ahead and caramelize it, and close to the end, I'm gonna add a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I actually got like a pomegranate balsamic vinegar from my parents. I'm gonna go ahead and add that just for a little more depth of flavor. Okay, here's my plan. While these caramelize, over here I've got cauliflower, I've got broccoli, so I'm gonna go ahead, chop these up into the sized pieces that I want, and I'm gonna get them ready to roast in a little while here. So probably season them with like garlic, salt, pepper. I'll add a little Parmesan maybe for the last little bit while they're roasting in the oven. And so that's what I'm doing with this. I also have some cookie dough. So about a week or so ago, I went ahead, made cookie dough, made them into balls, put them in the freezer. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out a handful of these and just put them in the fridge to thaw. So that way at dinner time, it's currently only 2:30, so that way at dinner time, they'll be ready to bake in the oven. I buy a lot of pre-cut veggies, but I have learned that if you just put it upside down like this, like cauliflower or broccoli, it's actually pretty easy to cut apart. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. You just have to make sure to wash it really well. So this is already pre-chopped broccoli, but I just like to cut off the ends, and I'm gonna cut it in slightly smaller pieces about the same size as the cauliflower. The onions are pretty well caramelized. I'm gonna go ahead and add some of this balsamic vinegar. Just a little bit. I'm hoping it'll provide like a little bit of a more depth of flavor, a little bit of tang, a little bit of fruitiness, but I'm not going to cook this for very long. And if you're making this, you could definitely skip the step of adding this balsamic vinegar. Like I said, it's pomegranate balsamic vinegar, but I just think it'll provide more depth of flavor. I want everything to be like seasoned, every single layer of this dish. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And these are completely ready to go. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and cook the ground beef in the same pan. I'm using 2 pounds just because actually tonight is the Super Bowl. So I'm cooking up 2 pounds of meat, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of soy sauce and then a bunch of seasonings, some garlic, and we'll just cook the meat up until it's fully cooked. I do think you could also use like ground turkey, ground chicken. You could use just regular burgers, anything like that. Put these exact same seasonings, do this exact same method of like baking it on toasty sandwiches. I took some of the fat out, and now I'm gonna go ahead and add the seasonings. First, I'm gonna add in some pepper. And just because I have it, I'm gonna go ahead and add in some of this tomato powder. It's sun-dried tomato powder. It says it's good in onions, garlic, roasted veggies, grilled meats. It smells good. So I think this will be a good addition. I'm gonna add in some oregano, some salt, and then I'm also gonna grate in some fresh garlic. And then we'll give it a taste and see if it needs any more seasonings. Before I grate in the garlic, I'm just going to go ahead and mix this in, and then I'll do the garlic. I would definitely add a little bit of tamari or soy sauce, just like a splash, maybe a tablespoon, but I actually don't have any, so I'm going to leave that out. But I think it would just provide some more depth of flavor, a little bit more juiciness. Actually, I just remembered I have some of this beef broth. So I'm actually just going to add a splash of that in here, just because I want the spices to kind of cook with the ground beef for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in that garlic as well, and I want the garlic to not be raw, to be cooked as well. I think that'll be good. Okay, back to the garlic. So I'm just going to grate the garlic directly in here. You could definitely just use garlic powder if that's what you have. I'm going to do about 3 cloves. Okay, so before I taste this, I'm actually going to go ahead and add in the onions. Not sure if I'll add in all of them, but you could just do it in layers, but I'm hoping it'll be a little easier to just mix it right in. I think I'll just put it all in. It'll be good. Okay, once it gets this all mixed, I'll taste it. I'll let you know if I add more seasonings, and then I'm also going to go ahead and shred out some cheese and adding some of it directly to here so that it kind of adheres the meat, makes it stick together. That way when we add it to the bun, it won't just all fall off. And then I'll also add some to the top. And then we'll have like pickled jalapenos if anyone wants that for the top of theirs as well. Okay, I'm gonna try and get the meat, the onions, everything in there. It's really good. I think it needs to be a little bit more tender. I bought a different kind of ground beef than I normally do, and I'm also gonna add some more seasoning, specifically this Montreal steak seasoning. I would just say add whatever seasoning you'd like that you normally add to like your burgers or your ground beef. And I think that would be really good. Add a little more pepper. I'm just gonna add a little bit more broth. I think that'll be really perfect. So I'm just gonna kind of let this cook for a little bit longer while I shred up the cheese. I have it on like really low heat, by the way. Okay, let's add in the cheese. And then we want to stir it just so it melts. It's about a half cup. Okay. I'm gonna turn off the heat. I did a bad job of finishing filming this recipe, and I forgot to film putting the sandwiches together and even the completed sandwiches. I just have this one left. We ate all the rest, and I think I made 12 sandwiches. This was amazing. It was so good. The meat was so tender. It was juicy. It had great flavor. I love the cheese mixed in there, and I also put cheese on the top and the bottom. How I finished the sandwich is I just took the buns, and on half I put the cheese, then the meat mixture, more cheese, and then I left them open-faced, and I just toasted it in the oven for just about like 5 minutes until it got warmed through. It was so good. I'll leave the recipe in the description below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love sharing recipes with you. If you have any suggestions for what I should make, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.